Welcome to Her Money Revolution. I'm your host, Angela Brooks, your guide on this journey to becoming a wealthy woman. As a certified financial planner, owner, and advisor at Family Capital Management, I'm on a mission to simplify the conversation around investing and to help women generate more wealth by making their money work for them. Join me as we navigate powerful financial planning strategies to help you achieve your personal and professional goals. This podcast is your go-to destination for no fluff, easy to implement financial and investing advice. If you are ready to achieve audacious financial goals, dream beyond boundaries, and generate massive wealth for you and your family, this podcast is for you. Grab a notebook, let's get started. Hello, and welcome back to Her Money Revolution, the podcast where we empower women to grow their wealth by making their money work for them. I'm your host, Angela Brooks. Before we jump into today's topic, I want to pause for a moment and honor something extremely important. March is Women's History Month, and I don't want to just acknowledge it. I want to put it into perspective. Many of us as females carry a quiet guilt about money. We think we should already know how to budget. We should know how to invest. We should know how to plan. We need to be disciplined every day. We need to stay consistent. But here's what we rarely stop to realize. Women being responsible for managing wealth is actually very new. Not long ago, women couldn't even open up a credit card without a husband. We couldn't easily get a mortgage without a husband. Many couldn't access retirement plans in their own name. And now, in essentially one generation, women are expected to run a household, to build careers, to raise families, and to be the CFO of their financial life. So if you've ever felt overwhelmed with money, if you've ever started a plan and then stopped, if you ever felt burnt out before even having that spending plan or before even investing, it doesn't mean that you're bad with money. What it means is that you were never taught properly. And you're building a skill set that history never asked women to build before. This is why today's conversation matters. Because building financial habits isn't about willpower and consistent discipline day after day. It's about building a system that actually works with your life, not against it. And before we get started, before I dive completely into what we're going to go through in today's episode, because it's Women's History Month, I have something, a little special something for you at the end of today's episode. I'm going to introduce you to one of the women behind Her Money Revolution, someone who actually helps bring this podcast to life each and every episode. She's a business owner, she works internationally, and I want you to hear her story. She's so incredible and so motivational. It's just an honor to be able to work with her. So make sure that you listen all the way to the end today. All right, so let's go ahead and dive in. So over the last few episodes, if you've been listening, we've talked about vision, we've talked about relationships, we've talked about alignment. And today we're talking about what happens after clarity. Because knowing what you want is powerful, but sustaining progress, that's where most people struggle. Not because they don't care, not because they aren't capable, but because life gets busy. Life is emotional. It's unpredictable. Things happen and we get off track. And I've read somewhere before, and I've experienced it as well, that if you get off track, you let 3 days pass, maybe this is more towards working out. But if I don't work out for 3 days, my habits change, right? So when I'm on the third day, I'm like, if I'm not feeling well and I've gone 3 days without working out, I don't let that happen. Like, let me get back to the gym. It's the same with managing money. We want to stay consistent, but it's not about our willpower. It's a system that we need to design. So today we're talking about how to stay aligned, how to build financial habits and systems that support your goals without exhausting you. I'm a mom of 3 kids, and I'm a wife and a business owner, and we travel and all of the expectations that are on me. It's impossible to have it all perfect. But I've built systems to support my goals. And when with that, it works. So, why does burnout happen, even with a really solid plan? Let's first talk about why financial habits are so hard to maintain and why the problem probably is not you. Here's something I see all the time for women that I work with and my friends, my clients, especially with smart, capable women who want to do the right thing with their money. They finally get the clarity, they finally feel motivated, especially now, it's March, so maybe we're a few months into the end of the year, we're not feeling as motivated, but they have a plan. They promise themselves this time it's gonna be different. I promise I'm gonna do it differently. And this is the part that nobody tells you. Motivation is not a reliable financial strategy. At first, it is. They're tracking, they're saving, they're saying no, they're doing all the right things. And then life happens. They take that vacation, or there's a demanding season at work, or kids' schedules explode, sports starts ramping back up. There's a surprise expense that happens, emotional stress you didn't plan for, but you absolutely feel it. And slowly and quietly, the plan starts to feel heavy instead of helpful. Not because the plan was bad, not because you failed, but because the plan required you to be the system. Here's the truth that most people don't talk about. Burnout doesn't happen because you're bad with money. Burnout happens when your financial life depends on constant willpower, you being the system. And willpower is not a sustainable strategy. And willpower disappears when you're tired. Willpower goes away when you're stressed, when you're caring for everyone else in your life, when you're feeling overwhelmed and emotionally taxed. It's hard to ramp up your willpower, right? So if your financial plan only works when you're perfectly disciplined and perfectly motivated and perfectly consistent, it's not actually designed for real life. So a sustainable plan should support you during hard seasons, not collapse because of them. This is why so many people feel like they're starting over again and again and again. They weren't failing. They were using systems that didn't account for being a human being. Good financial plans shouldn't only work in calm seasons. It should work in real life. And real financial progress isn't about white knuckling your way through discipline, although we can do that once in a while, right? But that's not going to sustain us. It's about building systems that remove the friction, that reduce decision fatigue, that work even when motivation is low, and give you margin when life gets messy. Because the goal isn't perfection. The goal is a plan that still works when you're tired and when you're busy and when you're feeling overwhelmed. That's how you build progress without burnout. Alignment isn't about discipline, it's about design. This is where staying aligned really begins. So let's get into it. Alignment isn't about trying harder, because trying harder is what most women have already been doing for so many years, right? We don't need more discipline. It definitely isn't about shaming yourself into better behavior. Alignment habits are not built on guilt and pressure or perfection, because those things, sure, might work for a short time, but they always lead to burnout in the long run. So alignment is built on design. Designing systems that work with your life, not against it. Systems that reduce that decision fatigue, that they remove the unnecessary friction and support your energy instead of draining it. Because here's the shift that changes everything. The goal isn't to be good with money every single day. The goal is to make the right decision, the easy decision. When saving happens automatically, you don't have to decide. When spending aligns with your values, you don't feel deprived. When your plan matches your real life, you don't constantly feel behind. That's why alignment actually feels like less forcing, less guilt, more peace, more consistency. And this is why I believe that a true financial successful plan isn't willpower at all. It's about creating an environment where the right choices become the default. The right choices become the easy ones. Doesn't mean that you're weak. You're not undisciplined. You just need a better design. And once your systems are designed with intention, alignment stops feeling hard. And it's natural. Brushing your teeth every day. It's just what we do. So this is where my work as a behavioral financial advisor, if you guys recall, I studied last year and took the exam to become a BFA. And in that work, I see it very often that most financial decisions are not logical. They're emotional. They're influenced by stress and fatigue and environment, which means that if your financial plan ignores human behavior, it will eventually fail, no matter how perfect it looks on paper. Money is rarely a math problem, okay? It's a behavior problem. So instead of asking, why can't I stick to this? I want you to ask, how can I design this work with my behavior? So if burnout isn't a discipline problem and alignment isn't about trying harder, the natural question becomes, what does alignment actually look like in real life? Because designing better systems can sound abstract, right? And I never want this to be theoretical. I want it to be real life, like livable. So if you've been feeling behind, I want you to take a breath right now. You don't need a new personality to build wealth. You need a structure that supports your real life. So what I want to share with you next are 5 shifts that I use with myself, with clients, in my own life, with my friends. I stay aligned without burnout. These aren't hard, fast rules to follow. They're anchors. They're ways to design your financial life so it can flex and so it can breathe and so it can support you through different seasons in life. Okay. So think of these 5 points as guardrails when life feels chaotic. Think of them as recentering tools when you feel like you're getting off track, and permission to stay in progress instead of starting all the way over. It sometimes takes 2 steps back to make 1 step forward, and that's okay. You're not having to start all over. Each one is designed to reduce the pressure, to lower friction, and to keep you in relationship with your money rather than constantly at war with it, or maybe even aloof with it. Like, I don't even care about money. That's an unhealthy relationship with money, right? So as you listen, don't ask, am I doing this perfectly? I want you to ask, which one of these would make my life feel lighter and easier right now? So let's start. We're going to go through the 5. The first one, build rhythms, not rules. One of the biggest shifts I encourage is moving away from rigid rules and towards gentle rhythms. Rules sound like, I can't spend money on this. I should be saving more money. Dang it, I failed this month. I didn't do what I said I was going to do with my savings goal. Rhythms sound like this. I check in monthly. Yeah, it's fine. I adjust when needed. I revisit instead of restart. Think about how we handle relationships. We don't decide once to care about someone and then never check in again, right? If you do, that you should be in couples therapy. It's a decision you make every single day. Money works the same way. This is why I talk so much about monthly money dates. With your partner or with yourself, my husband and I do it every month. We check in. It's fun. It's not a place of judgment. It's not to audit, but to reconnect with your finances. Alignment isn't a one-time decision. It's a relationship you maintain. I want a healthy relationship in my marriage and with my finances. 2, automate what matters most. If something is truly important to you, saving, investing, giving, it should not depend on a memory or motivation. Automation is not about being lazy, it's about being intentional. When you automate alignment behaviors, You are protecting progress during busy seasons. You reduce emotional decision making. You stay consistent even when life feels chaotic. So, what does that look like? Rather than, hey, I came into this, I got my tax return back and I've got this cash. So I'm going to go ahead and call my financial advisor to put $7,000 in my Roth IRA. That's not horrible, but that's not creating a rhythm. That's not automating saving and investing. What I'd rather see is, hey, let me set up a monthly, even if you can only do $50 a month, that's a behavior, that's a habit that you're starting, right? Or let's say, okay, hey, my cash flow is looking better. Let me go ahead and do $1,000 a month. You can do that into a Roth IRA because you put too much in. But as your cash flow allows, start setting up those systematic recurring contributions into your 401k and your Roth IRA or Kids 529 plans. And I have clients that are like, yeah, I don't know if my cash flow can afford that right now because they're thinking $500 a month. Well, can you do $25 a month? Let's just start. And that's what builds the habit that I'm get excited about. I don't need you to try to change life and put 500 a month in. If your cash flow doesn't allow, that's burnout. Then you're going to call me and say, hey, can you stop this month? But that's not ideal. Let's start with 25. See how that feels for a year. And then, yeah, it felt pretty good. I think I can do more. Okay, let's bump it up to 50. I think you get my point. The people who are most consistent with money are usually not the most disciplined. They've just removed those decisions. They've automated it. Think of automation as self-compassion in action. Oh, I like that. It's self-compassion in action. All right, number 3, shrink the size of success. Another burnout trigger is setting success too big. If success requires that perfect tracking, the daily discipline, the constant attention, it's not going to last, right? Instead, shrink success down to one aligned choice, to one small habit, one consistent action. Progress compounds, pressure exhausts, and consistency beats intensity every single time. Wealth is built quietly, not dramatically. And as I'm talking about this, it's very similar with fitness, right? You don't just lose 50 pounds with one massive workout, or you go to the gym and you work really, really, really hard after you haven't been in the gym all year, and then your body is so sore you can't get up the next day and do it. It doesn't do anybody any good. It's the small, quiet behavior. It's the getting up 15 minutes early to do some push-ups and crunches, right? I'm not going to get into workout stuff, but if you can kind of think through the money relationship as a similar system as working out, you're staying healthy, it might feel more natural for you. Number 4, expect life to change and plan for that. Staying aligned does not mean staying the same day after day. Your energy is obviously going to shift. Your priorities are going to change. Capacity fluctuates. So alignment requires permission to adapt, right? Setting guardrails, again, it's not setting hard, fast rules that you're going to beat yourself up if you don't follow them. You got to give yourself permission to adapt. This is why regular reviews matter, right? Not because something is wrong, but because we're human. It's real life. A plan that worked last year might not fit this year. And that doesn't mean that you've failed. It means that you've evolved. And that's okay. You're not trying to create a perfect plan. We're creating a flexible one, a one that adapts with life. Doesn't mean that we're throwing it all out and we're saying we're done. It means we're going to revisit the plan and adjust. We're going to pivot. Number 5, use reflection instead of self-criticism. This has been one that I have worked on intentionally because I like to track things. I like that consistency. I'm naturally quite disciplined. And so when I miss my Bible study or when I miss a workout, I criticize myself. I beat myself up. I used to, at least. I've stopped doing that. I've given myself permission to relax with my own tracking goals. But when something feels off financially, try replacing that judgment with curiosity. Instead of saying, why can't I get this right? Ask yourself, what is this season asking of me? I feel off. Rather than being upset, I'm going to be curious. What's going on in my life right now that is making this harder? What is this season asking of me? That question invites alignment. Judgment invites shutdown. Self-criticism shuts down all progress. You don't want to do that. You want to protect the story, even if you just in your head, you want to protect the story that you allow in your mind. And when we slow down enough and we do that reflection, that creates awareness. It keeps your relationship with your goals instead of running away from them. So take some time for reflection. Journal if you need to. Every day, whatever works in your schedule. Maybe it's not every day. Maybe it's once a month or once a week. Write some things down. Pen to paper, there's science behind how that just is more powerful than thinking about it or typing it on a computer. Do some solid reflection. So one intentional action that we can all do this week, I don't want you to overhaul your finances. I don't want you to throw everything out. I want you to notice one habit, just one, and ask, is this habit supporting the life that I'm building, or is it draining it? Then make one gentle adjustment. Staying aligned doesn't mean doing more, adding more to your plate, putting more things on your checklist. It means doing what matters consistently and gently and with intention. Alignment isn't perfection. It's staying connected to your goals, even during imperfect seasons. Wealth isn't built in bursts of motivation. It's built through small, repeatable decisions that your life can actually support, because your life is a sum of all of the choices that you make, big and small. You don't need to change who you are to build wealth. You just need systems that work for the life that you actually live. And your life looks different than mine. So your systems will be different than mine or your friends. And only you can really determine what works in your life. So that's all I have today. But before we wrap up, I do want to do something a little bit different to honor Women's History Month. Every 2 weeks, you hear this podcast, but you don't see the women who help make it possible. So Sarah is the editor of Her Money Revolution. She lives outside of the United States. She runs her own podcast editing business. She helps creators share their message with the world. She is motivational and amazing, and she messages me all kinds of inspiration and thoughts and ideas. I talk often on the show about building income streams and creating flexibility. And Sarah is a real life example of a woman doing exactly that. So today I asked her to share a little bit about her business and what she does and a little bit about her story. I hope you enjoy hearing from her.
Mabuhay, I'm Sarah from the Philippines. I grew up poor, so hustle was never optional for me. It was just life. I worked my way through college by maintaining a scholarship while juggling 2 to 3 jobs at a time. So one of those jobs was at a local radio station where I became an all-around personality and a content producer. That's also where I discovered podcasting back in 2013. When I was just 19 years old, probably one of the youngest producer at that time. Now I'm 32, a proud mom of 3. I had my first child at 20, my second at 22, and my third at 25. I also breastfed for 7 straight years. And yes, I'm very proud of that. So if you do the math, there were years when I was raising multiple toddlers at the same time while still building my career. It was beautiful, exhausting, chaotic, and honestly, a masterclass in multitasking. There were also nights when I would show up for client meetings at midnight because that was the only time the household frenzy had finally slowed down. And there were also moments when I had to turn off my camera to breastfeed or tend to my little one, then turn it back on and continue the meeting like, yes, I'm still here. And yes, we're still getting things done. So without a nanny, and I'm so proud of this, I was able to launch more than 200 podcast shows from scratch and produce over 5,000 episodes in 2023 alone. And honestly, I have lost count ever since. I started as a podcast editor with 0 experience, and today I step into COO roles, helping turn business ideas into implementation and execution. So my story is really proof that women can do both, nurture life and build something extraordinary. Have a great day.
I'm so grateful for you, my listeners, my clients, the community that we're building together. Thank you for being a part of Her Money Revolution. Until next time, keep building, keep believing, keep pushing forward, and keep blessing others. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope you are feeling more empowered in your financial journey. Remember, follow and subscribe to Her Money Revolution on your favorite podcast platform, and share your feedback by leaving a review. I'd love to hear your biggest takeaway from today's episode. Until next time, stay inspired.